Hello and welcome to the D3 podcast. This is your host, Matt, joined as always by John, Kevin, and Sam. How's it going, boys?
It's good.
It's going pretty good.
Yeah.
At All-Star weekend right now. Devin Booker out. Everyone's out, so they're really finding the bottom of the bin. And hey, I'm here, so living it. We're living it.
It's kind of funny. My roommate was just talking to me about it. He was just like, I don't even know if I want to watch this game anymore. And I was just like, yeah. And I told him about the Embiid and Ben Simmons. And he's just like, oh my God, if this affects Joel Embiid's MVP candidacy, I'm going to flip because he apparently bet money on him getting MVP. Yeah, if he's going out for 7 games isn't going to help anybody in that case. So why don't we get right into it, boys? Adam Silver is not going to require players to get the COVID vaccine. Can I just say how fucking dumb that sounds? I don't understand it. Maybe I don't know enough about because me and my wife, we're going to be getting the COVID vaccine kind of soonish. At least we hope that we can actually secure a spot to get it. Is there an insane side effect that would make you not want to get it? Because I just don't understand why you wouldn't require your players to get it.
Well, so here's the thing. It's very complex as far as I think that legally they could not possibly require them to get the vaccine. I can't imagine that they could legally do that. But the other thing is that just statistically speaking, there is a significant amount of distrust in this vaccine, especially in the Black community right now. That's just for many, many historic reasons why there's a lot of distrust, especially in the medical community, medical tests, and in the Black community. So there's it's kind of a complicated issue. There's a reason why NBA stars have not stars, but a lot of NBA players have been a little on the fence about getting very publicly behind the vaccine and everything. There's just a lot of complex issues surrounding it, which is part of why he couldn't require them to do it. But here's the thing. Let me just say really quick. Adam Silver's fucking up in plenty of other ways. Don't get it twisted. This man is absolutely fucking blowing it in so many other ways that this is not really his fault, not really something he can control. But a lot of the things he can control, he's doing a terrible job on.
Yeah, I guess I'm just I definitely agree with you. Adam Silver has been really, really fucking shit up. In a very bad way. And I guess I just didn't know enough about the historical value of the whole vaccine stuff. So I guess it's just me not really understanding the whole history of that. So that's on me. But that totally makes sense that you wouldn't force players to get a vaccine now that I'm thinking about it.
And it's one of those things, of course, the league would want financially. It would be in their best interest if all the players got vaccinated, because then they wouldn't have to worry about postponing any more games. They wouldn't have to worry about having rigorous contact tracing. But that's
okay. That makes total sense.
I gotta be real here. To all anti-vaxxers out there, fuck you. I mean, at this point, it's
for real.
It's you rather just enjoy. We've seen it. We've lost over 500,000 people to this, and out of irresponsibility, even from the players, I could call them out easily. We see them when they meet each other on the court. As much as I would like the brotherhood of that, that's very irresponsible. I don't know where they've been. They're not doing as much COVID testing as they were doing before. Everyone is thinking it's a normal day, and I want it to be a normal day, but I think we have to take the proper precautions. Yeah. Simple things. It's really not hard to wear a mask. I'm sorry. It's really not hard to wear a mask. We did it for over a year now. I don't know what makes the opinions change now all of a sudden, but at the end of the day, it's we saw measles come back for a strong period in Memphis, Tennessee, and that should have been dead for a long time. That should not have come back. So it's kind of embarrassing. I get the whole not forcing thing, but you shouldn't also you should still promote it. I think you should still promote it. You don't have to force the players. And I think the NBA should be making campaigns to promote it because they're a big enough platform to be a voice for a lot of people. So I think they should make an actual stance. At some point, I'm supposed to take a fucking stance on something because it's getting out of control now.
Yeah, taking a stance on something that's not purely just the financial interest of the league would be encouraging to see. Yes, especially something as obvious as like get the fucking vaccine so we can end the pandemic. But anyway,
last thing, and then we'll move on to basketball things. Look, all I'm saying is, if I can work out for an hour while wearing a mask, I'm pretty sure a majority of you can figure that shit out. 30 minutes on the Stairmaster and 30 minutes lifting weights. Like, come on, people. This is not difficult. Get the fuck out of here. So let's get right into the basketball. Lloyd Pierce fired after a 14-20 start, and nobody knew about it. Apparently, this was a big shocker to some of the Hawks players, which is pretty crazy to think about for your team. Sam, why don't you enlighten me on what the hell is going on with your third seed Atlanta Hawks?
Hey, no, we changed it. The Knicks are back, baby. We saw it. Tom Thibodeau, the greatest coach of all time, he's back. I think the Hawks made a huge mistake. They do the same thing that the Knicks did before, is where they hire a coach, they give him half a season to figure it out. And we all know the Knicks' history with that it never worked because they basically set them up to fail. You make all these moves to get all these players. They've been severely injury plagued with Bogdanovich gone. Danilo Gallinari probably missed half the season at this point. And Trae Young just has to get used to this type of playmaking ability because his playmaking skill is just pure scoring. That's just how he plays. Mm-hmm. He's realistically more probably like Kyrie at this point, where he's probably actually better as a true shooting guard. He's not a playmaking ability. He's not as proficient as a point guard, in my opinion. He's probably more like a Devin Booker or like a Kyrie Irving at that point. But it's funny in the sense of that he was coaching. He still coached that same Monday he got fired, and then as soon as they finished practice, they told him they're going to let him go. It's just to be honest, it's just for the GM to save his own skin because he's the next one on the plate. He's definitely going to get fired after how the season's going to go. And hopefully they find the right people. But I don't think Lloyd Pierce deserved to be fired. I also don't understand why coaches get fired mid-season because you might as well just ride the ship. You have to pay the contract regardless. Why would you want to cause more chaos for no reason? If you have nothing backed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin and then John, how are we feeling about mid-season firings? Do you think they're a bit unneeded at that point, or do you think sometimes it's absolutely warranted?
I think in a case like this, I think it's unneeded because I think the team, while they were off to a rocky start, they had a lot of good going for them. And I think they had a lot of chemistry that they were building. And I think you lose a lot of that when you lose your head coach just out of the blue like that. Granted, I think there are arguments to be made for it. It can be acceptable to fire a coach mid-season if you have a bunch of players that are doing really, really well and you're just starting off like 2-15 or something like that. Yeah, okay, I can accept firing a head coach then. But if you're starting out 14-20 and you're going through growing pains, you have a really young team, but you're seeing a lot of potential still, I think that's kind of a poor way to go about it. I think there's other things you can do to help your team out in a better way. But I think it was kind of that knee-jerk reaction. They're like, oh, we got to do something. We're not doing as good as we thought we were. Oh, let's fire the head coach. He's going to be the scapegoat. Oh.
John?
I have mixed feelings because sometimes things just aren't working out and you just got to get someone out of there. But sometimes you fire a coach mid-season and then your head coach becomes Jim Boylan. I don't know. I think that this was a weird choice because I don't think the Hawks are going to be substantially better under Nate McMillan. And I don't think that Lloyd Pierce really even had a fair shot this year because of all the injuries that he had to deal with on that roster. So I think this was kind of unfortunate. And I don't think it really makes a difference in what the Hawks can actually achieve this year. It's not like even if they make the playoffs, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. Like it felt pretty needless and felt honestly like kind of disrespectful for the guy who's been having to carry this team through through the bad years, through the rebuilding years. Like these guys sign on for that job and then they just get like tossed aside when the GM decides they want to rush things forward, and it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I'm actually kind of glad that you brought up that, Jim Boylan point, which is weird for me to say because I don't like talking about that man. Really quickly, and then we can move on. John, this is a very interesting thing for me because I don't think any of us really expected the Bulls, and I do have to bring them up, to be like in the playoff conversation. With as bad as the East is, the fact that they are like the 8th seed, I think right now, is very wild. Are you like excited that they're like good enough to be in the playoffs and that it might be fun for them? Or are you more like, damn, I was really hoping that they would be even worse so that we could get a very good point guard in the draft?
So the Bulls are currently a 9 seed in the Eastern Conference. They would be an 11 seed in the Western Conference. So the thing that I'm frustrated about is just that, like, they aren't actually playing that great. They're just in a really shitty conference that's putting them in a position to potentially make the playoffs with currently an under 500 record. So, yeah, I'm a little bit bummed. I would have much preferred for them to get one of the 2 game-changing talents at the top of this draft. Instead, they're probably going to get some mid-lottery pick, or maybe even worse, they'll just end up with something really disastrous because for some reason they sneak into the playoffs. I don't want them there. I do like that this team is, they finally seem to be at least enjoying playing basketball a little bit more, which is nice to see. They're better this year than they've been in a long time, and I appreciate that. But man, like, you could have just like done this a year later. Like, you could have just like held on to the fucking plot for one more year. Yeah. This guy's, it's just like, it's fine. I like to see them win. I'm up, I do enjoy the Bulls winning games, but I'm also like, I don't think that this is going to.
It's not going to.
I don't know if it's going to be worth it.
That's totally fair. Kevin, what if I told you that a Kobe Bryant rookie card sold for a decent amount of money, $1.8 million? Does that sound about right to you?
Yo, all I know is I should have been collecting those instead of Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards when I was a little kid. I should have been collecting stuff for the big bucks.
Sir.
And I got a lot of useless 2-cent Pokemon cards in my parents' house right now. So don't got a lot of 1.8 mil Kobe Bryant cards.
Let's not hate on the Pokemon cards, all right? Like, congratulations, you sold that card for a ton of money. But like, let's not blame the Pokemon cards, all right? That shit was bomb. Look, this is going to be very interesting because I know that the last Summer Olympics for the basketball was pretty horrendous. And I think USA was just like, maybe we should put good players in so that we could actually improve. And from what it looks like so far, Kawhi is actually supposed to be playing in the Olympics under Pop. Sam, I know you're excited about Pop, of course, as we all are. How are you feeling about this move?
Look, if Pop was coaching all the Olympics, then we for sure wouldn't have lost in 2000 and 2004. That's all I gotta say. Pop's been deserving this role for a long time. Coach K can suck a dick at that point. Fix your Duke team. You can't even coach college kids at this point. You have to buy like Zion and Jason Tatum with that, just money at the table. I mean, let's be real. All the college coaches do at this point. I'm still surprised that the Olympics are even going to happen. I feel like it's not going to happen, but if it is going to happen, it's good to see that people do want to play in terms of like NBA players, because I did hear like a lot of mixed feelings about, hey, it's like not really worth it. It's people like DeAndre Jordan who are like, having a gold medal is more important than NBA championship. And it's like, yeah, because you're riding the coattails. Like, what are you doing? You're not that important Olympic roster, I'm be honest. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I don't think there's like that much bad blood anymore between Spurs fans and them, because I mean the Spurs are in the playoffs still, so it's like, hey, we're kind of riding the highs until the next big change is. So this will be interesting to see.
Yeah, but hey, you want to know what is cool? CJ McCollum to be the VP of the NBPA. Your boy, CJ McCollum. Let's get it, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, perfect combo with CP3. I mean, they're doing a lot of good movement with like the HBCU colleges and stuff like that. So it's good to hear that there's actually good traction. CJ, I'm still waiting for another podcast to come out. I mean, I miss those. I think those are really good, really insightful. Yeah. I do like his wine sessions. I don't drink, but I just find it like so like unnecessarily sophisticated with like the really cheesy like Italian music in the background. So, but it's a perfect fit. I mean, I think this is like probably one of the most like genuine dudes in the NBA. So,
CJ, do some ASMR for your wine tasting. That'd be very fun, I think.
Can we edit that out?
All right, John. We have some news, especially for our brother Brian. Mr. Blake Griffin was bought out by the Pistons, looking like he's going to the Nets. Are we like, how are we feeling about this? Because I feel like the whole Blake Griffin train has just left the station so long ago. Is this really even like a big move, or are we just like hyping it up because of the name?
Yeah. So Blake, I believe, did officially sign in Brooklyn today. I don't think this really is that useful for them, frankly. Like, it's cool that Blake is going to be on a winning team that could potentially win a championship. That's exciting. Happy for Blake. Happy that he gets to be back with DeAndre Jordan, his Lob City teammate. I just think that, like, Blake is so clearly very washed. Maybe he's taking his time and, like, he'll come back healthier, able to move a little bit better. But, like, unless I feel like he's going to be playing, like, 15 to 20 minutes per game off the bench, you know, just, like, providing a little bit of, like, scoring and facilitating for them in that second unit. His defense is terrible. He can't guard anybody, like, which is already, like, you know, an issue with this team. This is not the kind of big I expected them to try to add, basically, is like someone like Blake Griffin, who can't move, can't defend anybody, but is like a fairly decent offensive player, but still not even really that useful because all he can do is take jump shots right now. I think this is weird. I don't think that I am that into this, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
So I think it's great for Blake. I think it was the right move if he, you know, wanted to be in a better city, for one, because, you know, Detroit, and, you know, again, him being on a winning team is fantastic for him. I just don't think this matters. And especially, like you said, like, yeah, he adds maybe some offense here and there, but that's not their problem. Their problem isn't offense. Their problem is defense. So why add a decrepit old dude who's broken down, essentially, at this point? Look, there have been a lot of moves, and there's been a lot of speculation on more moves. Kevin, we have a decent amount of players that we're looking at right now to possibly move before the deadline. Do you actually see any of these coming to fruition? And if you do, who do you think is the first one to get moved? We're looking at right now, for the audience, Kevin Love, KP, Drummond, Jeremy Grant, and Vucevic.
I gotta think it's Vucevic, just because I think a lot of people want him. A lot of teams are gonna want him right now. I think he's a hot ticket item right now. He's high value. A lot of people need a big man like him, and he's been popping off lately. I think especially the Celtics are really, really looking at their trade exception right now, seeing how they can make it work to get Vooch on their team. And if they do, then I think I would be much more hyped about the Celtics than I have been this season. And I think everyone would be.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think Drummond could also, he's got to be moved. Like, he's not doing anything right now. So if nothing else, like, I'm sure they just want to get him out of there too and just get another not true center for him. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam and then John, why don't you give us your takes on who you think's going to get traded and to what team?
I'm going to say no to Vooch. And the reason I'm saying that is I heard this rumor from the Orlando office that they're just completely window shopping and just trying to evaluate them. Because I think for them, they're doing this weird rebuild But I think they want some super valuable picks, and I think that's why they won't trade to the Celtics because the assets are just not that valuable, in my opinion, unless they gave up a Jaylen Brown or something, which they obviously won't do.
I think Orlando really wants to build around Markelle Fultz. Absolutely.
Hey, man, shout out to our boy Markelle, Aaron Gordon, Cole Anthony, and whatever the part of that roster at that point. I think the only healthy player is Vucevic and Evan Fournier, who've been like day oneers, so I can respect that. But I'm really impressed by Jeremy Grant's like gameplay. I think it's actually been like mind blowing this season how well he's performed. For me, I think he's just purely offense. I think in defense, I think everyone in the NBA doesn't play defense anymore. I think that's the new trend. But I think it's going to be Andre Drummond. I think once you sit a guy down, you can't start playing him now. So he's the one who's got to go. Yeah, I think he's going to be gone soon.
Fair enough, John.
Yeah, Drummond for sure will be gone. I think that Vucevic leaving would mean that there's going to be like 4 total healthy ACLs on the Magic. I think that but he's someone that I could definitely see, like Kevin said, being very targeted. I love the idea of Jeremy Grant's got to be one of the best assets in the league right now. Just someone who you could get on your team. He's immediately he would be an awesome third option for a team like the Celtics who are rumored to be targeting him. And I think that we saw him last year in the playoffs. He can be very good defensively when he's actually tuned into that. It's just when you're on the Pistons, who fucking cares? You're not winning games. Why would you try that hard on defense anyway? I think that if he was on the Celtics, he would be a major, major game changer for them as someone who can just be another really strong wing scorer, wing defender, someone that can actually take some pressure off of Tatum and Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know though. I would love to see Kevin Love get traded. If it can happen for Blake Griffin, I don't know why, with that fucking massive contract that he had when he got bought out. If Blake Griffin can get moved, Kevin Love can get moved, and let's get this man into anywhere else where he can have a nice little end to his career. Get this man out of Cleveland.
John, I do want to bring this up to you because you are the resident, Dallas fan, essentially. More so Luka fan. Where would you want to see KP traded to, and what would you want to get in return?
Yeah, it's tough, right? I have a feeling that KP, he won't get traded this year. If he does, it'll be in the summer. If I were to get, KP would be good. I don't know. There's a lot of teams that could use a guy like him with his skill set. I just don't think that Dallas is that team. I think that Dallas needs a much more stout defensive center, which is what I would hope that they could get in return for KP, is just some defensive talent, because they just have so little of that. Granted, Dallas has been a lot better in the last 10 games. They're actually kind of turning it around a bit. And, if they were in the East, I think they'd be a 5 seed right now. It's not so bad, but it's just KP either needs to be traded for something useful, or they need to find a way to get an actual second star on that team, because KP is, at this point, what we're seeing, he is a third banana. He is not someone that you can depend on as your nightly second star kind of guy. He's not Luka's AD. He's just not. So I don't know. I'd be fine if KP sticks around, but they just can't expect him to be the thing that will give them a championship. They need another guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, I think you have a fun fact for us, don't you?
I do. I was just scoping around all these websites, and I was interesting. All right. Gentlemen, you probably will never answer this question, but maybe from your experience of playing 2K and playing that My Team, where you get all these random trading cards from people from so long ago, so long ago, black and white days. Who is the only player to win All-Star MVP, NBA MVP, and Finals MVP in the exact season? I'll give you a hint. He's on the East side.
Isaiah Thomas?
No.
Wow.
Kevin?
Black and white days?
Black and white days.
60s?
I'll give you a hint. It's in the 50s.
I don't know anything 1950s players. Are you serious? I started getting into basketball 5 years ago. So
I'm not saying maybe you picked up like an amethyst and maybe he
Yeah.
turned out to be like a 1950s player. It's like a John Havlicek maybe.
Was
John Stockton?
no, he's not the
in the
50s.
East.
I don't
Just
know
like to
how old
emphasize
he
East
is.
side again.
I know he's
but-
old, but I don't know how old he is.
Is it maybe like I don't know if they were in the East at this time, but could it be George Mikan?
It is not George Mikan. That is a good guess.
God damn! All right, Sam.
But the answer is Willis Reed. He plays center for the New York Knicks. He brought the Knicks a title. Can you believe that? Right? It's ridiculous. But yeah, I was just mind blown. I was like, oh, this player. And like like I said, I see this player in 2K. I don't know this guy. I don't study. I'm not like a Bill Simmons where I'm like, I lived this. I'm like, no, I didn't. Obviously, I didn't. If I did, I'd be dead at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's kind of like fascinating. The MVP for literally the entire season. That's just nuts.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
super interesting, huh?
That's very. I'm surprised. When I first looked at this question, I thought it was going to be like Tim Duncan or Kobe Bryant or something.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be one of those guys. I'm actually surprised it's been that long since this has happened.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
weird about.
I mean, I think honestly, Kobe probably could have won if it wasn't for Shaq. That was it.
Yeah.
Shaq took the
Mhm.
Finals MVP. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Hey, it was really funny. I was actually watching like a clip of like old school All-Star days, where it was like Michael Jordan and Shaq, and they were wearing their team jerseys instead of like the generic East and West jerseys. And it was just like Michael Jordan and Shaq dicking around with each other. I just saw Shaq like shoot over MJ, and I was just like, oh, he must have done that on purpose just to fuck with him, because we all know Shaq has bricks for days. Thank you for that fun fact, Sam. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the game of the week coming at you. We have Brooklyn versus Boston. Very interesting. I mean, look, both one very good team. The other one is just perpetually sad and depressing. Why don't we go over who we think is going to win MVP of the game, and who's going to be the sorry about that, and who is going to outscore. So if we're taking like over under 220 points, I think is a pretty good over under for for this team. Kevin, why don't we go with you first?
I mean, I think I got to take the Nets on this one, obviously.
Howard.
That's a tough choice. Last time these guys played each other, it was on Christmas, and the Nets still had Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, and everyone like that. So I'm interested to see what they play like again this year, or this time. I don't know. I think it won't be. The past couple times, I think I've said it's going to be a really close game. Like, oh yeah, and I kind of go against you guys. I mean, how can this not be a blowout? How can the Nets just get scoring like 130 points against the Celtics, 100, 105 maybe? I don't see how that doesn't happen. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are great. Anyone else on the Celtics going to do anything to the Nets? No, I don't think so.
Hey,
I think Harden and Kyrie are going to walk the floor with that team, and I think Kyrie is going to want to prove himself a bit again and come out with 35 points, easy.
Over under 230 points.
Over.
Yeah, that's fair. As we've seen, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin's very good at this, especially last week's with the Suns and the Lakers. Very bang up job with that, sir. John, is there anything else you'd like to add to that Suns Lakers prediction that Kevin so boldly had last week?
Yeah, I think that Kevin, it's just, I just love watching Kevin's prediction get absolutely fucked by Dario Saric. Fills me with glee, makes me feel very happy inside. I think I'm glad that happened to Kevin.
That's fair. That's fair. Sam, why don't I go with you next?
I do have to add to some quick shame to Kevin just because it's just my duty, just for knowing him so long. We didn't use our signature phrase, gentlemen. Delusional, we may say, about this decision. I like to say just real quick for the Phoenix Suns, DeAndre Ayton is a perfect fit for this team. It's like nuts how like transforming he is or accepting of his role. They're the second seed now. I think that's mind blowing for me. I don't know how that happened. I just looked and I'm like, how are the Jazz and the Suns like the top two teams now? It's ridiculous. But Nets Boston, you heard me last week. I have zero respect for the team now. They're doing injustice to Tatum and Brown. These guys are young guys. They need to be shown the light, and they always get a taste, and then they throw them into the dumpster again. And with that being said, I was gonna pick Kyrie. I think Kyrie just has this like internal hate for the former teams.
Yeah.
He's so I think he's gonna drop like 40 points, and I think it's gonna be over the 230.
All right, so Kevin was pretty blatant on the over 230. I think we all are for that number because, you know, the Nets are a freak of nature. I'm going to boost it to 240. Are we still taking the over on that one, Sam?
Yeah, I could see it. It'll be stretched, but I think it's doable. I think,
Ooh, that's
easy.
That's going to be a fun game to watch. It's
That's a
over
stretch.
40 points. Goddamn. John, you're next.
So I will say, just to give the slightest amount of respect to Boston, they are currently the 4 seed in the East. I believe, let me just take another peek really quickly. Yes, they would be they would actually be the 9 seed in the West. Their winning percentage is 0.001 below the Mavericks currently. So yes, but you know, they're the 4 seed in the East. Nets are the 2 seed. Got to give a little respect to Boston, but only a little. Look, the Nets are going to win this game. It is a national TV game. They have probably Kevin Durant coming back at this point. You know, we don't know yet for sure, but I imagine he'll be back by then. And I think I'll say Kyrie is also, he will probably be the MVP of the game. He does not like the Boston Celtics. He likes Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, though, but he does not like the organization.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to, he's going to enjoy really sticking it to him. 240 over under. I'm going to take the under.
Coward.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. And I think it's because I don't think that Boston can score enough to get us there. So I'm going to take the under. And I think the Mavericks. I think the Nets will be winning this game. National TV game. Everyone tune in. Going to be a party. So it's fucking hyped.
I was gonna say the opposite. I need to stop televising funerals at this point. Like, it's not good.
Look, I'll be the only person to say it. I don't believe what I'm gonna say. Literally, I don't. But I'm going to say it just to, you know, be the Boston guy. I'll have the Celtics winning. It's gonna be under because of what John's. I really don't believe that. There's not a whole lot of teams that can outscore the Nets. I'll just blatantly put it there. So I'll have it close. Maybe KD doesn't play for whatever reason. I don't know, but that would definitely be beneficial to the Celtics. I think if the Celtics were to win, it's all on. I actually think it'd be Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown would be the one to step up the most. No disrespect to Jason Tatum, obviously, but I think Jaylen Brown has been having one of the most exceptional careers, definitely of his life, but also he's just been doing extremely well this year. So if he were to blow up again, that would be definitely extremely beneficial for the Celtics. And like I said before, I will take the under. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. That was a Deep 3 podcast for our game of the week. And you guys can follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. We are at the Deep 3 Pod. We have fire memes, Sir Kevin.
You know
So
it. You know it.
yeah. So thank you guys so much for listening to the show. You can listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you guys so much, and have a good night. Peace.
Help me.